What you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th, because if you can show that, you know they've been out. Hang on. But the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup. Minimum.
Right.
Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape shows.
Just for people who you can't see what's going on in the room, the reason why Cash just said hang on or whatever is because I started smirking and rolling my eyes. And what I meant to convey with that is, come on, we know they were involved.
No, look, I totally agree.
Though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know definitively. What I'm saying is a reasonable suspicion is that there were agents. There's a video showing a guy with an earpiece pulling people into the building. All right. Mm-hmm. You combine that with the evidence of Ray Epps, and it looks like you have a preponderance of evidence suggesting there may have been federal law enforcement involved in making that thing happen.
I'll get you beyond a reasonable doubt.
All
Two
right.
pieces of information. Ray Epps was on FBI's most wanted list one day, and the next day he was off of the FBI's most wanted list. There are only two ways that happens. You die, or your informant. Put that aside. Under congressional testimony, Jill Sanborn, who I used to work with, the head of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, in charge of all these investigations, testified under oath when Senator Cruz asked her, flat out, were there federal agents involved with January 6th? And she said, quote, Senator, I can't answer that at this time. Not if the answer was definitively no, having been a DOJ FBI guy myself, she would have gone there and said, nope, absolutely not. The reason she said I can't answer that is because of the same stonewalling they gave us during Russiagate with Christopher Steele, Halper, and everybody else. It's the same narrative, and I'm telling you they were there.
So you're saying that she said I can't answer that because the answer is yes, and that would compromise whatever their operation was.
Exactly.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. If you're brand new, my name is Tony. I am a first-generation conservative immigrant who dearly loves this country. So we got a crazy bombshell report that was just released by the Justice Department here. And the title on this clip says, Fox News alert, the Justice Department's bombshell report on January 6th has dropped. The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day, paid rats in MAGA hats. Over a dozen of these spies participated in the so-called insurrection. Why didn't the FBI director tell Congress that when he testified under oath? The Democrats tried to gaslight us and said this whole thing was a conspiracy theory, but you were right all along. Wow. So let's not waste any time, guys. Let's get into this reporting by Jesse Waters. But before we do, please hit the like button down below. It really helps the channel out. And of course, if you're brand new, consider hitting subscribe. Let's get into it.
Fox News alert, the Justice Department just released the bombshell report that we've been waiting for. What actually happened on January 6th? The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26. A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection. A bunch of them broke into the Capitol. Their own inspector general says this is what happened. But that's not what they told you when they testified under oath.
Those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
The director was hiding something, so Congress asked the question a different way. Listen.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no.
Can you not
tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision
Ms.
not to share information
Director
with
Ray,
confidential human
gentleman's
sources.
time.
Ray's right.
Wow.
The FBI didn't have undercover agents at January 6th. They had confidential human sources. So what's the difference? Well, a confidential human source doesn't get health insurance or a pension. They're just freelancing for the feds. Rats in MAGA hats. They're basically paid informants that the FBI runs out of headquarters. A lot of these FBI rats get picked up on some other charge. They get sat down and the FBI says, you're going to work for me now. And if you don't, you're looking at 20 years to life. So these guys say, yes, sir. And they cozy up to people like the Proud Boys and anyone the feds wants to watch and control from the inside. And these
Undercover.
confidential human sources are under pressure to deliver. What does deliver mean? It means intelligence and big busts that get the FBI good headlines. According to the Inspector General report, the spies were feeding the FBI intel that said January 6th was going to get a little hairy. But FBI headquarters did nothing about it and then lied to Congress and said they did. So why did headquarters let January 6th get so out of hand? And what were all these FBI spies doing that day and the days before? Were they riling everyone up like they did in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot? In that case, the FBI informants instigated the plot. They even used an FBI credit card to buy the ammo, supplies, and hotel rooms. Did the FBI pay for Jan 6 hotel rooms? We don't know. Remember, the
Most
media
likely.
and the Democrats said this whole thing was a conspiracy.
Where do you think this idea comes from, that this was somehow done by the feds?
I heard that one of the debaters said it was an inside job. It's an inside job on the part of Donald Trump and his henchmen.
Republicans have blamed the FBI and said it was an inside job.
It certainly was not an inside job by FBI agents or Antifa. They go around blaming it on Antifa and FBI agents.
Well, how did the media know it wasn't an inside job when the FBI had 26 of their people on the inside? January 6th certainly benefited the media, the FBI and the Democrats. 1,500 arrests, humiliated Trump, got him impeached, criminalized the MAGA movement. Trump got indicted over January 6th, remember? They tried to throw him in prison over this. The January 6th committee, it's all Democrats did for 2 years. Why didn't the committee find any of these snitches? They did a one-sided investigation and teed up Garland to charge Trump so they could run against a convicted felon.
Exactly.
So the media is going to apologize, right? No. The media today is cherry-picking the report to say there were no undercover agents there on January 6th. The whole thing's a conspiracy. These aren't articles. They're FBI press releases. And they wonder why their ratings are trash and no one trusts them. It's because of this. They don't want the truth. They want to hide it if it hurts the left. And they can't admit they were wrong because it's too embarrassing. And they were a part of the cover-up. But the FBI is worse than the media. The FBI knew what was in this report. They covered it up before the election. And then the director says he's resigning the day before it comes out. Give me a break. This kind of sliminess is why Trump nominated Kash Patel. I wonder what else Kash is going to find in the Bureau when he looks under the hood.
Woo!
As a former federal prosecutor and a public defender who defended a lot of these types of cases, what you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th. Once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation.
And what does this report do to the January 6th defendants? None of the confidential informants were arrested or charged. These guys were right alongside everyone, walking into the Capitol. But you're in prison for years? Now, if you're a defense attorney for a Jan 6er and this drops after the case was decided, that could change everything. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley says this, quote, there is a question of why the confidential human sources who entered the Capitol were not charged as part of an operation that the Justice Department described as an effort to shock and awe, targeting everyone involved that day.
Wow.
This report does not find specific wrongdoing or direction from confidential human sources in the rioting. Congress, however, is likely to seek more information on these sources and their conduct on the day. Are you allowed to commit crimes as a spy for the FBI and not get charged? because they said this was the greatest attack on democracy ever. Said it was up there with 9/11. Traitors, they said, seditionists, they're off scot-free. You can try to overthrow the government if you're an FBI rat and just walk away. Congress has to find out. And what does this mean for pardons? I mean, the Hunter Biden pardon already greased the runway for Trump, but this reports all the ammo Trump needs. He told Time magazine, it's going to start in the first hour, maybe the first 9 minutes. Now, if I were president, I don't think I'd pardon J6ers who were slugging cops, but if you were wandering around peacefully, come on. And it's not just Kash Patel that's going to clean house. Tulsi's on deck.
I'm here with Tulsi Gabbard. She's here on the Hill meeting with my colleagues. She's going to be a great DNI, a Director of National Intelligence. It's a really important job. It oversees all of our intelligence agencies, and it's in need of reform. I think everybody would admit that, and so we need to bring in a reformer.
Now, the deep state's never been this backed into a corner, ever. We have Trump assassination files that we want to release, JFK assassination files, COVID files, Epstein, Diddy. What about that pipe bomb? Is the FBI still working on that one? Who planted that? It's just another conspiracy theory that you were right about. The lab leak, the laptop, and now Jan 6. No wonder Biden's under pressure to dish out more pardons. Who knows how high this thing goes?
Man, we cannot wait to find out how high this goes. But in my opinion, this is what I think happened. I could be wrong. This is just speculation. But I believe the FBI knew that there was going to be the protest at the Capitol, and they planted these individuals in there because they can distance themselves, right? They can technically say, no, they're not employed by the FBI. They're not FBI agents. They're confidential informers. They're rats. They're snitches, right? That's what we call them, snitches. And so they go in there and they're told, hey, try to see if you can egg them on and see if you can get them to commit these, the insurrection, essentially. That's what I believe happened. And of course, some people fell for it. You had some idiots that went in there and walked into the Capitol, or were probably baited into the Capitol by these people, and it turned into the way that it did now. But here's the thing, though, now is that if it is proven that the FBI had something to do with this, then they need to be the ones that are charged with the insurrection. If the FBI, the whole department, whoever was in charge, needs to be charged with an insurrection. Because if that's what you're charging Trump with, and everybody that is in jail that was at the protest, they need to be let out. They need to be let out and go free. And everybody that was part of the FBI and people that were at the Capitol that worked for the FBI, whether they are an agent or a confidential informant, they all need to be charged with an insurrection, right? That's what you said happened that day, and y'all the one that technically caused it to happen. You incited the insurrection. This is crazy. This is a wild report. But you see how they try to distance themselves by employing these criminals, essentially. That's what they are, that the FBI is using to go out there and be a spy on behalf of the FBI. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy, and I can't wait until we get more reporting on this and find out who was responsible, right? See if Nancy Pelosi knew about this. But I'm not surprised at all, because if they were involved in hiding the Hunter Biden laptop, and if they have it till this day and they didn't release it back then when they should have, then I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like this here during the 2020 election, trying to get rid of Donald Trump by creating some type of insurrection type of environment that they incited themselves and trying to blame it on Donald Trump. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But hey, that's just my opinion. Who am I, right? I'm just some guy on the internet here. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoy the content. If you're brand new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.